This is probably the hardest election decision I've ever had to make because I'm basing it off of not my personal self, but my core belief of who Trump is inside is what's driving me towards Kamala.
This is Clayton County, Georgia, just south of Atlanta, where more than 84% of voters picked Biden in 2020. That makes Clayton the most Democratic county in all this year's swing states.
2020, when Biden won, it was Clayton County who turned Georgia blue and got Biden the presidency.
How so?
I was telling people that if that be the case, if Clayton County, who, upon further investigation and insight from people that was informing me, because I talked about this on the Millionaire Morning Show, if Clayton County are the ones, because people are telling me that when the projects was torn down in Georgia and in the Atlanta area, that the majority of those residents was moved over there to Clayton County, which then influenced the election, then that means that largely a lot of these counties that turned Georgia and then ultimately cost Trump presidency in 2020, even though we had a great time in 2016 through 2020, is responsible for the inflation, the immigration, the countless wars that we continue to be in, and so on and so forth, instead of us operating in prosperity. Now you got Democrats pitching to you reproductive rights, basically unwanted pregnancies as a form of contraception. And so should we lay that at the feet of Clayton County?
Our people turned out. Clayton County turns out. We expect the same for Kamala Harris.
Almost 300,000 people live here, and nearly 70% are Black. The campaigns are fighting hard for these voters. Kamala Harris was just here with Stevie Wonder. We spoke to people at Black-owned businesses about what they were thinking in the last weeks before the election.
I'm really not into politics, but Kamala Harris, her movement, I will say I support two things that she said and is doing. The $20,000 loan thing for the Black entrepreneurs, I really like that because it gives us a chance to, get our businesses up off the ground. And another thing is she's trying to legalize marijuana. Because, a lot of us get locked up just for our cars smelling like weed. It's a lot of synthetic weed out here, a lot of fake weed that's, bad for us.
You want it to be legalized and regulated.
Yes, and what gets me the most is it's banned in the South where
the level of ignorance that you see from our people within our culture and our community, it almost reminds me of when I remember back in the day in the 90s when I was growing up, because I'm an 80s baby, 90s raised me. And I remember we always used to complain that when a crime happened or you was watching the local news, because they was watching TV, they wasn't actually on social media back then. When you were watching the local news, it always seems like they got the most ignorant person to give their opinion about an issue, and this is what you see. Look, bro, if the only thing it takes for them to get your vote, when you're talking about people being broke, getting kicked out of their house, people having to beg for student loan forgiveness, record inflation, you can't buy a home because it's not that we have a home problem, we have an affordability problem. When you talk about these proxy wars and the immigration that's come into this country, when you talk about the fact that they're raising property taxes in most of these blue strongholds in order to avoid bankruptcy, we got bigger issues than them identifying Black people as the reason why they're trying to push for legalization of marijuana on a federal level. But again, you got these young people that are trying to justify why they're voting for Kamala Harris or why they swinging to Kamala Harris when they honestly just need to become more informed or just sit this one out, fam.
it's mostly African Americans or Black people down here. But up in the other states, the union states, the blue states, whatever you want to call them, it's legalized.
The blue states. The blue states are California and New York. Michigan, Ohio, all of those are swing states, buddy. Let's continue.
Well, who would you vote for if you do decide to vote?
I don't know, maybe Harris.
And why?
Just listening to some of the stuff that she's said so far as like helping people. I'm big on helping.
So why would you be undecided right now then?
I would have to say because this will be my first time.
Yeah.
First time, like, woo, okay. My mom, none of them, they've never done it, so.
We found a little more ambivalence about Harris than we expected based on past voting here.
I'm not decisive. I'm gonna be straight up with you.
That's okay. Tell me more. Why?
Because it's two of the lesser evils. They're all bashing each other and saying this and saying that. Then I take that and I go do research. When I research it, I'm like, but I do know one thing. Trump is so bold that if the aliens is coming, he gonna tell you.
So in an Independence Day scenario,
yes,
he would tell you to evacuate.
He would tell. So I mean, he can't keep his mouth shut.
What are your constituents saying about the election?
You get a mixed bag of peanuts. You get a lot of people that say, go Kamala. You get a lot of people say, I'm not into politics. And then you even have voices say that I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Early voting numbers were really high. Woo. What do you think that means?
I think that means people have something to vote for. I think that people are impassioned, emboldened. They're excited to vote for something. I'm just hoping they're voting for Kamala Harris, honestly.
We are house divided.
Really?
At this time, my husband, he's more leaning towards the Trump side, and I'm leaning more towards the Harris side, but I'm still trying to persuade him to come to the other side.
And
if you are one of these guys that are handpicked, if you are one of these guys to where you don't have control over what's going on in your household, and y'all are a house divided outside of whatever college that you went to that are rivalries, then I am very disappointed in what's going on. That means that you got a partnership, you don't have a wife. That means you got a partnership, you don't have a husband. How can you be equally yoked, but you're a house divided when it comes to who you want to vote for people that are very polar opposite when it comes to the candidates for president of the United States of America? Because obviously she's a person that's going for Kamala Harris, and identity politics play a role in that, and gender politics. And the husband instinctively is going with the thing that's the best for the family, but you have a woman that's pulling against you that don't see things the way that you see it because she got her own mind and she's moving the way that she want to move based off of her own ignorance. And you are literally having this woman stand on national TV and say that we a house divided. God, this is insane.
what is his objections?
Well, he just doesn't feel that like a woman is fit for the job, so to speak.
What you getting, 10 fade? And then we bringing the top down. I'm gonna be honest with you. During his time in presidency, a lot of money was flowing around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my reason for being like, hey, if you're gonna do that again, you know, you run that back. He doesn't.
There is no other reason outside of the fact that we are leaning on identity politics as a culture in order to justify the fact that people want to continue to stay on this Democratic plantation. Most people that I know that are honest within the community that are even considering voting for Kamala Harris or have already will admit to you that their lives were better in 2016 through 20 as far as the resources and the opportunities versus 2021 through now. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we do this to ourselves? It's crazy.
There's a lot of stuff for shock value, just to get you to look at it. You know what I mean? So I don't really be taking none of that stuff serious. I'm gonna take my time with it, because you know, it's like the lesser of the two evils type of thing.
Excuses.
One topic of conversation has been the idea that some men don't want to vote for a woman president. Do you think that's a factor?
I hear that a lot.
Yeah. What do they say?
Women are too emotional to run the country.
And what do you think of that?
What do I think of that? I'm married. You think I'm about to answer that?
Well, what do you say to them?
Happy wife, happy life. Same as their fathers and their grandfathers.
What do I say to them?
Yeah, when they say that.
I tell them the same thing I told you. I'm married, so, and my wife run my household.
I'm telling y'all, it's over for the community and it's over for our people. He just said it. He said his wife runs his household. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon tomorrow. Link is in the description. Also, Tej Hanley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off of life. And come and get your tickets to come and kick it with me in person in Atlanta and Detroit. Atlanta this weekend, Detroit December 14th. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. This is sad.